Hey guys, and welcome to another brand new video. In this video, we have some pretty nifty news to go and cover over here that's been floating around all throughout the internet, where this is the PlayStation 5 Pro specs have now been apparently leaked. And one thing to kind of go and know, keep on getting these little baby bits and trinkles of information, is that this actually does seem like a very, very substantial and bigger upgrade than a lot of folks are probably expecting. And I'm one of those folks out here too, is that I'm kind of skeptical on the PlayStation 5 on whether it's actually going to come out in the time frame we keep on expecting around the 2024 range, or as well if the price point's going to be, or if we also even need one. But as well, we've also been seeing some other little small trinkets coming out too as well, so I thought to go and talk to you guys about this and showcase this up, because the more we get, the more we're informed, the more better decisions we can make, if it's actually a good object and all that type of stuff. So I want to hear all your thoughts and comments down below as we go throughout the video. Make sure you guys are subscribed with the notifications on for the channel. We'd love to have you guys here. And of course, the usual, we have the Twitch and Twitter down below. We'll probably be hanging up on Twitch if you guys are bored and want to vibe out there all throughout the night. And let's dive into the video itself. So as I mentioned, the PlayStation 5 Pro leaks are now coming out and having a lot more revelations, I guess, in terms of what we're expecting. Right now, we are still on the very cusp of the PlayStation 5 Slim. I'm sure you guys have heard this a lot on the channel. And we keep on hearing the rumors. We saw the video leaks. We even put it up on, on like the good old, all the websites and stuff like that. We put on like the shorts and all that. And it looks cool. It looks very vibey. But one big thing to note is that this is actually apparently a completely separate thing, where the new PS5 Pro leaks are now coming out, and apparently reveals that there should be a much faster both CPU and GPU inside the console. Now, I know a lot of console folks hopefully know what this means. Basically, the GPU is like the graphical unit, or that's like kind of more affecting, let's say, like the resolution, the video RAM, which is like the actual encoding for the, the games themselves. CPU is more of like the general processor of the thing itself, which sometimes games do use that to load in, let's say, like textures, environments, or operating systems, etc., etc. They kind of have two separate usages, and if you guys have done, well, either PC building or whatever, GPU, like I said, is more on the brunt of the games. CPU is like, let's say you're trying to render a video, or let's try you're going to have like a bunch of different tabs open, all that's kind of like a little bit on the RAM side, but just kind of give you guys the really, really, really rough breakdown. Like someone who builds PCs could probably be like, no, that's not right. Just try to give like the general broad term for everyone out there. So basically that means that the games should be running better, should have better frames, should have a chance and potential for higher resolutions, and overall the CPU should make the entire performance of the console both run more efficiently, run better, make the operating systems easier, and everything else in between. So the Sony PlayStation 5 made its first debut back in late 2020. Close to 3 years have since passed, and the players are now eagerly waiting for an upgrade to the PS5 with the Pro variant. Here we will discuss the latest leak surrounding the PS5 Pro, and it's definitely an exciting one. We have listed the leaked specifications of the PS5 Pro, which tells us a lot about which upcoming consoles we'll be packing. So here are now the actual, somewhat expected leaks of the specs. Now, I want to remind everyone, and I would say these extra rambles is like the disclaimers so no one's meeting me in the YouTube comments, and you give all these disclaimers and someone in the YouTube comments is like, hey, you're rambling too hard. I just want to cover up all my bases. Don't forget, this has not been confirmed by PlayStation or Sony so far. I wish it was, but as of right now, these are just the internal leaks, and it does seem very realistic, and it is a pretty widespread news, so obviously, we're going to go talk about it. So the PlayStation 5 has already received numerous changes throughout its life cycle, and this includes changes like the internal things, such as doing different types of internal chips, lowering things like the heat sinks, which I usually kind of mention a lot on my channel, but the one big thing is they never really gave it a big performance uplift. There has been maybe slightly efficiency updates too, in terms of like lowering the actual heat outputs, and as well in terms would also make the overall like electricity usage a little bit lower, but there hasn't been like a big specification change so far. Even in this internal PS5 Slim, it doesn't seem like there's any big changes on that yet. The PS5 though Pro, on the other hand, will receive a very big change in all the internal specs, going well past the manufacturing process improvements we've seen in the original PlayStation 5. The new specifications leak comes from a YouTube creator over here, Red Gaming Tech, who's also floated around a lot throughout other various things, saying the upcoming gaming console is a 4K racing ray tracing monster. Now, I'm sure I don't have to explain everything with you guys, so don't forget the ray tracing itself is typically like the next kind of big jump that happened in PC gaming and NVIDIA and even AMD cards somewhat, more so this and like more of an NVIDIA technology, where for that one, it's like, it just makes everything a little bit better, both for in terms of AI to fill in textures, but more so ray tracing itself is more on like shadow textures and light fixtures, and essentially making the whole world feel and just deem a lot more dynamic and feel a lot more nicer at the end of the day. So this is big, like this is a nice thing to focus on that. So number one, they want to have a new custom APU with TSMC's 5 to 4 nanometer processes. So what does this mean? That basically is, I believe, like the overall like system operating card, I believe, is like the best way for the APU. I could be wrong, but basically like the CPU is more of, let's say, like I said, like rendering. Then you have the motherboard, is more of like the actual like putting everything together and like the general sensor like processing. I think like BIOS, etc. And then the APU is more of just like the like just overall making sure everything is running well. I believe that's the knowledge from what I know. I could be wrong though. You have 8 cores based on Zen 4, so it's also more, once again, I believe, kind of upgrading up like just everything. The more cores, not typically doesn't always mean the better. Like I've had like 16 core CPUs. It's more of like it kind of spreads out what you can utilize. So let's say in theory you have a 4 core versus an 8 core. That just means you could have more things simultaneously running. Typically, it may not run necessarily better, but it also kind of helps out with multi-purposing processing. I could be completely wrong, by the way. This looks like my base to my PC knowledge. They have an integrated GPU with 30 work group processors, or WGPs, and 60 compute units. I'd be lying if I could even go and tell you what this means, but based on my just integrated GPU-wise side, it probably just means at that point they just have it a little bit probably maybe easier for, like maybe in the comparison like a video RAM, where it's easier for things and processors to keep on establishing stuff up, and like as you're loading into, like say, a game, and you have to have everything all gonna basically be downloaded. It basically allows that to be easier. Or let's say you have like one type of like a processor working solely more on like ray tracing to make sure that runs really well, and another one's working on like generating and rendering textures as the game comes on in. I'm assuming more so the more type of processors into the integrated GPUs, the better. Either way, the better GPU is just nicer regardless. On the base level, a better GPU is a better processing and better coding and better running for any type of game, and it runs the games at better resolutions, at better frame rates, with less heat and more efficiency, and the really baseline overall. So the iGPU can be based on the RDNA 3 or RDN 3.5 architecture, and we've also seen companies like AMD go and make specifically unique GPUs for these consoles. They can be really relevant based on PC like technology. Also, let's say they have like a 3090 for a GPU. They can maybe make a 3090 PS5 version, which is very similar, but maybe slightly more fine-tuned because you're going to be making like 20-30 million of them, and also might be slightly better because it's more efficient or more streamlined for a console. They also have the APU could also feature 96 ROPs, which is 50% more compared to the baseline PS5. I'll be honest with you guys, I still don't necessarily know too much on the APUs, but that would just mean that overall, the console would be running a lot more efficiently, and as well, just has more computing power to basically do this. Like if you guys have ever just built a PC, sometimes you don't have to worry too much about the specifics, as long as you know like the RAM. It just basically lets you go and just do more stuff, like such as here they have a 16 gigabytes of DDR6 memory. So on the RAM itself, that just helps launching things like the store, helps like running games on fast booting, turning your console on and off, and quick restarting. It's kind of more of like a RAM feature, I would say. It's more of necessarily an SSD too, but that also kind of like ties into it. It's also like I say, if you basically have like a bunch of different settings always open, it's running for a long time. It just basically helps the efficiency for the console. And then the potential enhancements for the built-in NVIDIA MVE SSD, which is once again the bigger technology that the PS5 is known for, which is a really good SSD. So you have all this type of stuff put together, and it basically makes the entire console run a lot nicer. So basically the CPU is even clocking at higher speeds at 3.6 gigahertz, the GPU is clocking at 2.7 gigahertz, and everything that we're seeing so far from these leaks, these are not 100% confirmed. I always want to remind you guys, but every single type of leak we've had a chance to see, it seems like this is better all around. Every little baby bit of the console seems better. So in terms of the motherboard, it seems better. The actual APU, better. CPU, better. GPU, better. Higher RAM. Also better stuff, in, like I'm assuming, based on like video RAM, which makes the games running better. And on top of that, too, better SSDs. Just literally everything in between. And they'll also even have a different design as well. So a lot of folks are just assuming how good it's going to be. I also want to make this on a somewhat separate video, so you guys may see another one like this too as well. I just want to remind you guys that all these different types of rumored specs are just a lot better in comparison to the baseline models. It should be everything all in between. Now, the big thing is on the price point expectations. Now, I keep on assuming it's going to be a $450 brand new PS5 Slim or new iteration variation console. That's just kind of my guess. Just based on like marketing, based on current price points, based on everything else, maybe $500 still. If I had to guess, I'd probably assume they're pushing for like a $650 or $699.99. It could go slightly higher based on the price point of the PlayStation VR 2, and as well, this is more of a specialty console, but depending on how much money it costs to get like AMD and all these other big chipset suppliers, I'd probably maybe guesstimate at like a $650 to $700 range. So if you guys want to give your thoughts and comments and guesses down below, feel free to. But either way, it does seem like this is a beast of a console. It looks like this will last last a very long time, and I myself would almost be tempted to go and upgrade, so I want to hear your thoughts and comments down below. Make sure you guys are subscribed with the notifications on. We have the Twitter and Twitch room down below if you guys want to follow. We have the Amazon links too as well, and of course, just want to hear your thoughts. Are you guys going to go pick up the new console if it comes out soon? And don't forget, this is still over a year away, if even that, so don't be too worried as of now. I appreciate you guys all so much for watching. I'll see you guys in another quick video in a little bit.